In the Lord's Prayer, Jesus says, "This then is how you should pray. Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name, your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven." Welcome, my fellow Christian brothers and sisters. We are looking at the Church of Jesus the Christ, the will of God the Father to choose a people for himself from the peoples of the earth, the descendants of Adam and Eve. We have been looking at 4 important areas of the first church. 1, the people called by his name. 2, the people by his Spirit. 3, children of God, or children of the kingdom of heaven. Now we are going to look at 4, the holy community, the holy nation. In 1 Thessalonians 4, verse 7, the Apostle Paul points to the importance of holiness for the people of God. The Apostle Paul writes, "For God did not call us to be impure, but to live a holy life." The Apostle Peter also addresses holiness for the people of God. And Peter wanted the Christian converts to know that holiness unto the Lord is not optional or a good suggestion. It is a command, as it was for the Israelites. 1 Peter 1, verse 14 to 16. Peter writes, "As obedient children, do not conform to the evil desires you had when you lived in ignorance. But just as he who called you is holy, so be holy in all you do. For it is written, 'Be holy, because I am holy.'" Here Peter was referring to the writings in the Holy Scriptures where Moses gave the Israelites the instructions of the Lord, among them the call to be holy. If we look in Leviticus chapter 19 and verse 2, we will see the call to be holy there. It can come from verse 1. Moses was to speak to the Israelites. "The Lord said to Moses, 'Speak to the entire assembly of Israel and say to them, Be holy, because I, the Lord your God, am holy.'" This was repeated or stated on several occasions. In Leviticus chapter 11, from verse 44 to 45, there again the Lord instructed the Israelites to be holy. "I am the Lord your God. consecrate yourselves and be holy, because I am holy. Do not make yourselves unclean by any creature that moves along the ground. I am the Lord who brought you up out of Egypt to be your God. I am the Lord who brought you up out of Egypt to be your God. Therefore be holy, because I am holy. Leviticus chapter 20, verse 25. Leviticus chapter 20, verse 7. These scriptural references also point to the importance of holiness. As Peter stated, the church is called to be holy because the Lord, the God of Israel, the God of the church, the Lord, He is holy. Holiness, Kadash, the Hebrew word to be separated, to be withdrawn, to be consecrated, to be different, to be unlike anything else, to be unique. Israel was called to be like the Lord, the God of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. Be holy, be uncommon. Do not be like the Egyptians and the Canaanites in your behavior, in your customs, in your thinking. Be like the Lord your God. Be separated, be different, be holy. Israel was called to reflect the character, the nature of the living God by taking unto themselves the instructions God gave them. And the instructions that the Lord gave Israel through Moses, these instructions were in line with the character, the nature, the way of the Lord. I am holy, so be holy. The Lord is just, so the Israelites were to be just. The Lord rested on the seventh day of work, so they should rest on the seventh day. The Lord is kind and gentle and forgiving, so the Israelites should be kind, gentle, and forgiving. The Lord is pure, so the Israelites should be pure. Again, we understand that the purity of God, the possibility to be like God in nature, thinking, and behavior, weren't to be God-like. The capacity to be holy wasn't really given or fully possible until the coming of the Holy Spirit that would first change the individual by conversion, the new birth. John chapter 1 verse 12. As many who believe in him, who believe in his name, he gives the power to be children of God. So to be born of God, now you have the nature of the Lord. And now with the power of the Holy Spirit, one has the direction and the help to renew one's mind and subsequently modify one's behavior. But holiness was an instruction to the Israelites, and now it came over in the church. Be holy. Do not be like the nations. So holiness for the Israelites was pivoted on the instructions of the Lord to build a nation, to build a society, to build a culture that is unlike the surrounding cultures. Now, in the church, the mandate was the same. The church, though international, was not multicultural. The church, the first church, was international because peoples from the nations, yet it was not multicultural. From many peoples to one religious faith community. So if you were started with Israel, then extended into the nations of the Roman Empire, the regions of the world, yet the Christian converts were called to abandon their customs, their traditions, and to adopt to the manner, the way of the Apostles' Church, or the Church of Jesus Christ, that was led by the Spirit, and the apostles were the vessels through whom God established his church. As Christian converts from the many peoples with many cultures, they were called upon to surrender their cultural context or the cultural ways. They were called upon to give up what they were accustomed to and to adopt the culture of Christ, which was the way of the kingdom of heaven. In other words, what Jesus taught. And all of this was based upon the teaching of Moses, the psalmist, and the prophets, the fulfillment of everything that God gave to the prophets, prophecies that were recorded in the Holy Scriptures. These prophecies were fulfilled in the life, the ministry, in the church of Jesus the Christ. So now what the apostles were teaching and what the first Christians were accustomed to, they have established a culture, a Christian culture. And everyone who joined the church, they were called upon to abandon their culture and acclimate to, adjust to the culture of the church. They had a single culture, not many cultures among the one Christian group of peoples. In other words, they were not allowed to continue the way of Greece, or Corinth. They were not allowed to take with them the traditions of their fathers, but to acclimate themselves, to adjust to the manner, the customs, the thinking of the apostolic church. There's a similarity here where the Israelites were asked when they came out of Egypt. In Leviticus chapter 18, the Lord gave the Israelites specific instructions to abandon the customs of Egypt and also not to adopt the Canaanite ways. Leviticus chapter 18 verse 3. You must not do as they do in Egypt. Again, you must not do as they do in Egypt, where you used to live. You must not do as they do in Egypt, where you used to live, and you must not do as they do in the land of Canaan, where I am bringing you. Do not follow their practices. The apostles were saying the same thing here, where Paul said that we were not called to a life of impurity. Thessalonians 4 verse 7, Paul was saying, no, we are called to be clean, to be pure, to be holy. Peter shared the same sentiment there. They're called to be a people of one mind, one belief system. If you notice in Acts chapter 1, they were gathered together in Acts chapter 1 and preparing for the coming of the Holy Spirit. They were in the same location. They were praying and seeking God, waiting for the Holy Spirit. Notice in Acts chapter 2 that the people were united in thinking and in expectation. When the day of Pentecost came, they were together in one place. In one place. They were there waiting for the Lord, and then the Holy Spirit came upon them. A unity of brothers and sisters waiting on the Lord. In Acts chapter 2, verse 42, they devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching and to fellowship, to the breaking of bread and to prayer. There was a oneness with the first Christians. They had sameness in thinking, in attitude, and behavior. And this constituted a singular culture. It was a monocultural society, a people with a value system, a belief system, a moral system, an ethical system, where they had sameness. They were together in thought. They were together in beliefs. They were together in behavior. The apostles, the apostolic church in the book of Acts had a single cultural context. And it doesn't matter where you were from. You were taught by the apostles to be a part of the faith, not only by conversion. Know that you're converted, you are called upon to think the same thought as the group you join. The Apostle Paul in Romans chapter 12 writes in regarding the importance of renewing the mind. Verse 2, Romans chapter 12. Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will. So the Apostle Paul was saying to them, the renewing of the mind, the transformation of the mind that is responsible for behavioral modification. In other words, if you change your thinking, your behavior is going to change. If you now think like Christians, then you're going to behave like Christians. And they were all expected to behave the same way, whether you live in Jerusalem, or you live in Corinth, or you live in Ephesus. You were a Christian convert, and your thinking and behavior should reflect your Christian conversion. They had oneness in spirit. They had a monocultural society.